Okay, the broadcast is live. I'm just reading from a teleprompter, but I want to tell you people that this is a special cock and bull extra because the guest was washed out by rain last minute. She came down to the bottom of the building, and then the rain just attacked her. Last scene, she was in Borivali and screaming, "Help, help!" And of course, nobody bothered because in India, when it's raining, we tend to stay home and say all the best to whoever's out. But I'm doing this under a lot of pressure because I've just discovered a pimple right here. I don't know if you can see it, and that's been very painful from the morning. I called up Amit, I called up Silverie. I said, "Can I avoid today's show?" They said, "No, just grin and bear it." So I've taken Combi Flam. I've done what I can, and I'm here because we are warriors, and we will deliver no matter what the pain. All right. The other thing is, of course, I'm younger than I think. I don't think I'm actually 49 because you cannot have this kind of. The only reason for getting this kind of skin issue at my age is really, really bad hygiene, or the fact that your adolescence has continued from the age of 13, 14 and not stopped yet. And I think it's the latter because I'm pretty clean. I wish I could show you, but I've been told to keep the shirt on. So clean as a whistle. Speaking of whistles, it's time for me to blow mine and call on our wonderful. Oh, we have only two guests today. This is one of those real low budget shows. My favorite, by the way. As you
The
can see,
no
I'm back
guest.
in Amit. Amit, I'm back in your house, by the way. Thanks for letting me
Yes,
in. Yeah.
yes, I
But
can
I
see
must
that.
tell you, your help. I don't like the word servant. I've struck it off my world list forever.
Yes.
Your help, or the man who helps you, who's dressed exactly like me in short pants and a tight t-shirt. Yeah, that's really. I mean, he opened the door. It's like, brother. Well, he always hesitates before letting me in. Please don't shout at him. But it's like a 1 second hesitation. It's almost like he's saying, "If I had a choice, Oh, but this is like my fifth or sixth time. I would think after 5 or 6, I'm very good with darbans and guys at the door. Normally, I become friends with them if I go to the same place again and again. So I was.
I
What do you think the reason is? Almost like
I do not.
racism.
I don't know what to say here. I'm a little surprised. He's actually normally pretty good with letting people into the house.
No, he let
Maybe he
me in.
sees something.
He let me in, but he just hesitates for half a second. It's just a beat. He opens the door and he goes like this, and then he lets me
Ah,
in.
okay.
But that
Yeah.
half beat is like, why? I mean, it's not like
You
a
know what?
gorilla's come
It
in
can I tell you what it might be? It might just be that we're surprised when the doorbell rings these days.
because
You,
you're
you, you,
angel. Yeah.
just like naturally, right? Like the doorbell rings, like, wait, who the fuck is coming to my house right now, right? Because it's just, that frequency of like visitor to the house is so low compared to what it used to be, that I think maybe that's it. Because like right
Silvery,
now, you were sitting, we were sitting right before we started recording, and somebody, like, we have a part-time guy who comes to help with some of the cleaning stuff, right? So he
yeah,
rang the bell, and both of us looked at each other like, who came now, right? Because
yeah,
it's just you're not
that's
used to
true.
it.
That's true. But Silvery, I think what Amit is also saying is that and this happens to a lot of people around the world, he's enjoying the solo culture. He's benefiting from it in such a way that he's conditioned now to enjoy it more. At the back is the gentleman and the aforementioned gentleman as well. The tighter t-shirt is the guy who disrespects me, and the one who went off first is the guy with limited liability in the house. He comes, he goes on all fours, he pretends to clean, and then he left. But his work was like mine. It was just fast and furious, but signifying nothing. To quote Macbeth badly. Yeah, but I won't criticize these people. At least they actually do work, unlike some of us. Before we go further, I was discussing yesterday, which you didn't have time to. But I had a fight with my daughter over this because I said you have to say. I think Silvery, you said thanks, Maya, and then she said
Yeah, yeah,
whatever. And so I said, you
yeah.
can't talk like that. You can't be antisocial. And she gave me a rant about the difference between asocial and antisocial. So I'm asocial. I'm not antisocial. Antisocial is when you break things and get violent and misbehave and obnoxious and whatever. And asocial is when you do not want to interact with other people. So I was like,
But could
wow,
she
that's
even
true.
hear Antariksh? You're wearing the
No,
headphones
she
at
didn't
the time,
hear
right?
because I had the thing. So I just told her,
Yeah.
Antariksh is saying thank you. Thank you, Maya. So,
Okay.
you should just say
Ah.
welcome or just acknowledge it with a head or whatever. And she says, this teenagers, not just whatever.
Yeah.
It's not like she was being mean to him. This is the way they talk. It's not really
Yeah, yeah.
personal.
This is yeah,
Uh,
Yeah.
correct.
I think
Yeah,
yeah.
Antariksh is probably used to whatever's. I mean, like,
yeah.
it seems strange. I don't know what to say. I'm a little
No, no, no. So,
surprised.
so I just said, look, now these are, no, these people relatively well now. I
Yeah.
know we don't meet physically, but this is as good as it gets. You could just acknowledge, don't be mean.
Yeah.
People start thinking you're antisocial and it's bad parenting then and all. We're not antisocial. And give me a huge lecture like antisocial means, the guy who, we discussed the guy who wants to, the racist guy in the bar who
Yeah.
misbehaves and all. That's antisocial.
Yeah.
Asocial is almost like being shy and withdrawn and you don't want to interact or interject in a conversation. You're that person. You want to, just stay away. That's
But
asocial. That's her
Yeah.
point. I don't
okay.
know.
Cool. I can
So
see
then
that. I can
so
see.
I lost my argument. because
No,
I
but
said the wrong word. Then I didn't feel like saying, okay, don't be
I don't
asocial.
think Maya is either antisocial
She
or
would never
asocial.
do
Again,
it
it's
on his face. She didn't realize that I
yeah.
would tell him, right? Because it's on there. So she wouldn't do it on his face. That's obnoxious. That to me is
Yeah,
antisocial.
yeah,
Okay, she's
exactly.
saying it
Yeah,
to me like whatevs, and she walks
yeah.
off. And but I'm like telling him
Ah,
because of the casual, because they
and
do this.
then
You don't have kids, man. They're so casual in their demeanor. It's irritating after some time. Like, Mikhail, what time are you leaving? He was going to Alibag with three friends. Now in this lockdown, are they allowed? Not allowed? On their own? Blah blah. So just won't tell us. I don't know. In the morning. Whatever. What time? The answers are ridiculous. I
well,
want them to be caught by terrorists and interrogated. I want to see if they can do better. This is I'll shut up. Mikhail, tell us everything about your life. Whatevs, Gov. Oh, by the way, he's got a. They watch these podcasts by these North England guys, so he's now got this entire, North England meets Malba Hill meets Indian guy. God, it's horrible.
also known as the
Suddenly the
cathedral accent.
it is all that. So suddenly it's like, okay, lads, what's the plan? Huh? All right, Gov, see you later. I'm like, no, how mixed up are we, man? How fucked up are we? Urban Indians, English speaking elite, the worst. Yeah, so it's all over the place.
Yeah,
Anyway,
no,
so
sorry, but back to antisocial versus asocial, right? I mean, like,
yeah,
I find that interesting, right? I don't think, like, I don't think Maya is either antisocial or asocial, right? I met her a number of times. She's always like, perfectly
on the
nice.
face, no,
She
she can
doesn't
be.
like to, she doesn't like to talk, right? So she's not like
No, no, she
gregarious,
loves to talk. She
but
just needs to be
that's,
comfortable with the person.
yeah,
By nature, she's quite extroverted also. But
okay,
they in the house they behave like that. With their friends, they're different. You know how it is.
yeah,
Yeah,
But she went to
true,
that's
Kunal's
true.
house for a sleepover. His
oh,
niece came over to eat lunch, and she said, "Can I stay in the room primarily after saying hi?"
okay,
Which is asocial. As against another person who you
yeah,
don't meet enough people during this time. You say, okay, some new person has come. It's just novelty of meeting a new person to kill time. I would. Honestly, I'm a bit of a parasite like that. I would be like, new
yeah.
person, let's attack. Interesting. It's like the podcast.
So
And
I mean, like, is asocial the person who basically goes and reads a book in the room when they have guests at home?
yeah, yeah, it's
That's the
passive.
asocial.
It's passive
Yeah.
antisocial in a
Okay,
sense.
all
Yeah,
right,
yeah, exactly
fair.
that. Or they don't take part in the conversation. You know people like that.
Hmm.
They're just withdrawing more and more. While we are jumping up and down because we like company, and some people just they go in more.
Is it a permanent condition? Because I feel like I am often asocial if that is the criteria for asocial, but I'm not always asocial.
But I have to see social setting now where we don't really see you anymore. We're only
Hmm.
doing this in a work setting where you're very much, this is your got to execute work and all that. So you're a
Yeah,
different
that's
guy.
true.
I have to see you because in a room, and if they are not very well known to you, how are you then?
Hmm.
That'll be the test. So we'll
Okay.
organize an orgy for you. I know your
Okay.
house. I'm going to send
Yes.
10 lady boys from Thailand who I've been in touch with. Don't ask me why, because I'm not asocial. And you tell me how it's gone. And remember, no touching, just conversation. Huh?
Uh,
Huh? What you want? I want this. It's like that. All right. And
okay.
be careful on the line of racial disharmony now. I don't want to cross that, or sexual disharmony, because, is Ladyboy allowed, by the way? Gotta keep checking.
I am not
But that's
sure.
what they call themselves,
It
at least in
is, but
Just,
Thailand.
I'm
just
not
say
sure
whatever,
if it
Amit.
is.
Like, yeah, whatever's
Huh.
fine.
Yeah, what
Amit is
else?
so
What
scared.
else?
Whatever.
Whatevs is the best. And
Whatever.
this is a hand gesture, by the way. Guys, that if you have teenage friends, there's a whatevs with a dismiss. You're dismissed. Whatevs. Whatevs. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wasted enough time on that one. Let's move on.
Yes.
Silvery, are you
All right.
antisocial? You're not anti. You're very social.
I'm,
No, I don't
I'm
think so.
okay.
No,
I'm all right.
I feel
Yeah.
like I feel like you're very social, like in the sense that you're
He likes company.
yeah, you talk to people a
Yeah.
lot, right? I mean, like
Okay. Okay.
you
I'll
enjoy
reduce that,
talking.
Amit.
No. You don't need to reduce. I'm just
That's
saying
okay.
that
I'm
you
sorry.
enjoy talking to people,
Yeah.
right? I mean, like at least that's what I feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been
I like
like
talking to
a
people.
year since we've been in the same office, but I mean, like I remember back then thinking that yeah, Antariksh seems to get along with everybody.
Yeah, that's true. I get along with most people.
Yeah.
But there are days when I talk less. That's there. Like, so
Hmm.
it's normal, I guess, for
Also,
most people.
if you're naked with your friends, how do you behave? Are you still comfortable? That's a good
Yeah,
test.
yeah, we're all hugging and all. Yeah, yeah, exactly. We're all hugging and comparing
No
sizes and all that.
pointing,
Yeah,
no
it's all good.
ramifications, no notes being made in the
Yeah.
side. Rupa thinks you're very. Oh
Hmm.
God, yeah. But there's another thing here. When you meet strangers, for example, when you're on a plane or a train or a bus or whatever, do you interact? Like, not if they know
Like
you
in
or
a bus?
recognize you, because
No, no.
no, I'm saying two
Hmm.
perfect strangers, especially on plane rides for me. I've noticed. You sit and then you say hello, and after you say hello, do you talk sometimes or not,
Very,
or do you try not
very
to
rarely.
talk?
Very rarely. Unless there's like a
I
common moment that happens, like where both of you notice something and then you like look at each other like, oh, ha, that was weird, right? And then you start talking after that. But
I
So you don't want
only
to break
talk.
usually
his
not.
privacy is different from you not, you wanting to not engage. That's the asocial pattern, is when you don't want to engage
So
whatever happens. You try your
okay,
best
so
to
this
make eye
is
contact.
so tell me how I fall in this category then. I do not want to talk to anybody until the plane lands. After the plane lands, I'll talk because then there's like a set limit. Otherwise, you start at the
Hmm.
start of a flight, you might be stuck talking to
You
somebody
can't
for
turn
4 hours.
off. Yeah.
That's true.
You've
Yeah,
thought
That's
it
true.
through. But I
yeah.
think you've got partial asocial qualities for sure, where you want
Okay.
to, you definitely want your privacy. You want your little bubble for some time.
Hmm.
And it's not worth risking that for a 5 minute conversation, which you wouldn't have minded.
Yeah,
But that's the
I
thing,
wouldn't mind a
people don't have,
5 minute conversation,
yeah,
exactly. But if a
that's
five
what.
minute conversation turns into a non-stop 2 hour, let me tell you about all the problems in my life and what's going on, and like I'm an ex-alcoholic and all the rest of that shit. And I mean, like that's actually happened, right?
And
I was on a flight back from the U.S. and somebody started, he was drinking and he just kept telling me about like how I'm drinking too much. I'm like, dude, what the
well,
fuck, right?
that's a flight from the US. That's a flight from hell then, because then you can't
Yeah,
shut it at all. It doesn't end.
it did end because it was like with a stopover in the middle, right? But
8 hours, 8 hours of the
yeah.
guy.
Yeah, it was a bit much. Well, so it wasn't 8 hours again. There was a sleeping time, and so I mean, like I slept, but it
Is
was an
this where
hour
you
and a
pulled
half
out
at the
all your
start. An
hair?
hour, no,
Is this
could
where you
be
pulled out
around
all
the
your
same
hair
time.
and aggression
I think it
of,
would be around the same time. I lost my hair when I was 20. This was around then.
yeah, I'm telling you honestly, this is, we're joking about it, but it's a horrible thing. If you don't want to engage and suddenly have a conversation forced on you, it's like real torture. I can
Yeah.
understand totally. But remember, there are also those people who just love to company, even whoever the hell it is, and just keep
Yeah.
talking. So, oops, ouch.
Do you
Anyway,
guys do you guys ever wonder what personality types you are? Like all that ENFP,
yeah.
INFP.
I
You,
don't.
you
So
guys know what I
apparently
mean?
that stuff's been like highly discredited.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's been very discredited in the sense that see the fact is human behavior is complex, and to kind of break it down into a finite number, it speaks to our need for order.
No.
It's the same
No, but,
psychology
but,
which
but you
astrology
take the,
works on.
if you took those, but you take these points, like if you look at people as sanguine or melancholic, or the basic
But
personality descriptions, pragmatic, there are 4 5
but
classes, and then you
those are
mix to the degree. So you lead with, because you're basically a melancholic person is a person who's a lot of negativity. Okay, at the end of the day, that's the leading point there. Like they're 52% negativity, and then of course there are the other things. Very few people are going to be 100%. 100% doesn't exist. So it's,
but
what is
see
the, it's almost like
no sorry.
democracy. The ruling party has to have a mandate. So that ruling party in the personality.
So from what I understand, right, and the way I also in some ways look at the world, right, is that these kinds of overly broad classifications of people into types, right?
Hmm.
It is, and the reason why it has been kind of discredited, right, is this idea that it is the search for order in a random world, right? It's the same reason why people believe in astrology or religion or any kind of, or Baba Ramdev or any kind of pseudo nonsensical kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
So basically, you may be Amit, you may be a mathematical minded person who's likes objective thought as against
Right.
subjective thought. I think that's the huge issue. There's a philosophical fight going on where the
Mhm.
objective thought person, when you're strongly that, cannot take anything which is just random, keeping it open. Like I've just told you,
Well,
50% this,
no.
30% that. They want more black and white, and they want it scientifically correct. Like this is it.
If
This is not
anything,
it.
I am more open to the idea that there is uncertainty, right?
But then you should
Because
accept the
the
personality mixing.
no, because
And
personality mixing is simplifying human complexity. When you say that there are 48 personality types, right, what you're
Hmm.
doing is you are essentially simplifying the complexity of the human experience, and most people are more complex than being able to fit into a set number of types, right? Because if what you're saying is there are 50 universal 50 types of people, what you're essentially saying that basically I am the same as two what is the math here, 200 million people in the world, 300 million people in the world, and I don't buy that. I don't buy that there are 300 million people who think almost exactly the same as me, and my behavior, their behavior can be modeled, and my behavior can be predicted. I think that things are a lot more individualistic
yeah,
than that.
because there's going to be 300 million Osamas, 300 million, Himeshes singing out there, 300 million Falguni
Yeah.
Pataks, 300 million Yogi Adityanaths. Oh God, You've opened up a Pandora's
Yeah.
box. Our world is over now, as far as I'm
So,
saying. What
but again,
ifs?
this is astrology, right? I mean, like, why do people believe in, not we, why do people believe in
They divide
astrology?
into 12.
And
Yeah.
they divide into 12, even more ridiculous, right? Why do
Yeah.
people believe in religion, right? It's the same thing. It's a search for order in randomness, right? And it's trying to find these kinds of patterns. So I mean, like, I that's I
So
saw. Yeah, when you ask me
so
that, do I believe
so
that you can describe people? Absolutely.
yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
But Silvery,
So
do you believe in
yep.
astrology?
No, not at all. Not in
Not
astrology.
at all.
No.
You'd never discuss
No,
with
no,
your
no, not
friends
at all.
like, hey, your birthday
I
tomorrow,
mean,
bro.
oh yeah,
Which
my
makes
birthday
you
tomorrow.
Gemini.
Correct.
You're close to you're
Yeah,
same as
correct.
my niece Elizabeth in America, and you're 2 days away from my dad, 14th, and 11 days away from my, oh God, another Gemini. I'm surrounded by
Oh wow,
Geminis. Oh,
oh, that's cool. Nice.
yeah.
Yeah,
Ouch.
everyone's two faced around you, Cyrus.
That's
Basically.
negative, but otherwise, there are a lot of
Yeah,
positives also. Pretty good, pretty good.
yeah, of
So the
course, as it
two,
should be.
I can live with two face. Well, as long as you know what the two faces are, it's not deceit. Like if you know how personalities, uh, people say predictable is boring, but if you have some idea of what's happening, I think you could. The animal is known to you, and you're okay. That's why they say don't breed the dog and the wolf because they don't know what to expect when you have a dog wolf, which they have bred, of course.
Yeah,
So it's similar like
yeah.
that. Once you know what the person's different parameters are, you're okay. You can work around it without clashing. Yeah. I don't know why we've gotten to all this. It's the most boring
I
discussion
don't
we've
even know
ever had.
where we went.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. But having
Yeah.
said that, Leo, which is my sign or his sign, he just mentioned Two Face and all. Or Leo, they're definitely exuberant, more exuberant people I've noticed that is there in the arts, louder. There are a few things which seem to be similar. Now you'll say, but there's that's similar to a lot of other people also.
Yeah,
But
exactly. I mean, like, there are people
but
who are.
it's easy to accept the point I'm saying because there is definitely some commonality,
No, there
which
is
is
not. There is
well,
not.
I can think of 10 Leos immediately,
Cyrus.
and we definitely
Yeah.
have some common
So
strains.
how many Leos can you think of immediately?
Hey,
You said you can
Saukar.
think of. No, no. You said you can think of 10 Leos immediately.
Yeah.
How many people like this can you think of immediately who exist in the world?
uh, with my super brain, probably 3,416. But I don't
So
think we
my
have the
point
time
being that
to do
it's just
everything.
that this is self-selecting bias, right? I mean, like, you think Leos are like this, so you're
So
looking
you're
for
saying it's
Leos
auto
who are like
suggested to
this.
you by what you've read that the
Yeah.
Leos are like this.
No, and so that's why when you see a Leo who is like this, you basically accept that, and hey, here's my proof. Leos are like this. And then when Leos who
I
are
don't
not
know too
like
many
this, you
Leos
don't even think about them.
who are soft, quiet. There's
Leo is
certain. I'm not saying
August.
everything.
Leo
August,
is
and
August.
July
Okay.
22nd, August 22nd.
My friend Saurabh Sangvi.
Is he quiet? Is
Very,
he shy?
very soft
Is he
spoken.
soft spoken?
Very soft spoken.
I want
He's
his
not
birth
shy,
certificate. I
but
want
very
to talk
soft
to his
spoken.
parents. I need to
August 5th.
investigate the matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law
Look, Jimmy, look
Umesh
at his cheek.
Shah
He's just trying
also.
to disown me, man. This is disrespect to an older
No, it's not
statesman.
disrespect. It's just like, I mean, like, it's just
You're
the
to find
idea that
one Leo who's basically a cancer, no pun intended. This
I
one
can
Leo.
find. I can find as many Leos who are quiet as you can find who are gregarious. I'm sure that we can do that, right?
You be careful because in India,
Yeah.
rationalists like yourself are, well, not looked after well. So be
That is
very
also
careful.
true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Chalo, shall we start talking about something? It's 10:18 and we
Yes.
discuss Leos
Sure.
and Maya's
Let's.
whatevs. I mean, really, substance is always lacking, but come on, draw a line somewhere, guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
All
heard
right.
someone
Cool.
else laugh.
Yeah.
Not three of us. Was it Rishi?
Who?
There was a fourth laugh. Now, do you believe in
I
ghosts?
think it
Sorry to
was
bring it up.
Amit's help. Amit's help who
Okay,
was
I
laughing.
had you know what? Okay, I'm going to derail the podcast again.
Yeah.
I heard a really interesting question on podcasts. Okay,
Yeah.
a podcast that I listen to, and I want to hear both of you. What both of you do you believe in ghosts?
That's why I just asked. So
No, I'm
here's my
asking you.
thing.
Do you believe in
See,
ghosts?
again, you asking for a yes no answer. And I'm again telling you that this yes no answer is an uncomfortable answer for me to give. And I'll tell you why.
Huh.
Because primarily, I would say it's more like a no. But for God's sake, why do I feel scared when I'm sitting? Okay, I was about a few years back, I was in Jim Corbett area in Nainital, and they put us in this guest house sort of thing. It was really dark, and there's no sound. Amit Silvery, when I
Okay.
say no sound, you please understand, city boys, there is no sound. Okay, and
Like
that's
no
eerie.
crickets and
The
all also.
soundlessness.
Is that?
No, that comes at a little later in the night. They have stages,
Okay.
and then if there's a
Okay.
sound like a thud or something, or like a footstep or something, you can't tell. Your mind starts playing. At that point, yes, I'm sort of tilting towards ghosts. So I don't know whether it's conditioning from childhood or whatever. I'm saying all of us basically don't believe, but if I put you in a condition where all these
Yep.
things play on your
Uh,
senses, I don't know whether you'll be
Yep.
completely no.
okay. What about you,
Absolutely.
Antriksh? Same.
So
Okay.
I again I get scared because if I listen to like a good ghost story, I'll definitely get scared. But I know in my mind that no such things exist.
Then why do you
Okay.
get
They're
scared?
not real.
Do you want? So this is the second part of the question, which I thought was the more interesting part, right? Do you want to
Mhm.
live in a world where ghosts exist or not?
No, man, it's too scary, bro.
So
I don't
you
know,
don't,
man.
because see,
This life.
ghosts imply afterlife. Afterlife
Hmm.
implies, all kinds of
Yeah,
other things.
but I got problems with the whole ghost theory. Firstly, they're always in white. Okay, like that. I mean, why are they always in white? What's the connection there? They're always in white. Have you ever seen a ghost in blue? He's always in bloody white, and they
So
always
I
have a light
actually,
about them.
isn't green also a very common color for ghosts, for ghost viewings and stuff like
In
that? That
Ramsey
people who
Brothers
see them.
Productions, it was green, but that's because they couldn't get white for some
No,
reason on that particular
no,
resolution.
I feel like a lot of urban legends around ghosts, right, describe the ghost as having like this greenish glow.
No, I'm talking
I
about the
feel like I've
outfit. The
read
outfit
that.
is white. They'll be
Huh.
shiny. They'll be sort of shiny. I don't know whether
Huh.
color is important. They'll just be shiny. So all these things are unnecessary. That's why, except for Casper, mostly the ghost has a negative sort of weightage to attached to it,
Right.
and that's my problem. If they're really ghosts there, then are they going to be nice? I'm sure like the ghost is come and fix my Wi-Fi. I'll be like, hey, bro, you're the guy who, yeah, of course, come, and he can
No,
fix it. And
but what about all the other things that get kind of that the existence of ghosts open up the door to, right?
that's
The
what
existence of ghosts. If you live in a world where ghosts are real, doesn't all supernatural possibilities become real as well? This was not a stoner
Right.
podcast, but I thought it was a damn funny part. I thought it was a really interesting
no,
conversation these guys
there's no
were having.
end to
Yeah.
that, man. And
Yeah.
you might have disrespected so many historical figures. Will be like, I heard what you said, bro. All right, just be very careful. Hitler's there eating the sausage quietly. He's now non-vegetarian. He's like, I heard what you said. I was not that bad. Next thing you know, why would you want that, bro? They'll be all over your head. Relatives,
Uh,
friends. We're at a point where people unfortunately have passed away and all that.
hmm.
It's a little ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, trying to
But
sleep. Firstly, there's the construction work going on, and then suddenly there's these three people staring at you with shiny green faces and white clothes. I'm just
but
making us both happy.
again, I would think that if ghosts were real, right? I mean, like, wouldn't it be? Wouldn't that also imply that there is a soul, and the soul is then reborn? Because that's the ghost mythology, right? That very few souls stick around. Most of them kind of pass on and move on into other things.
I'm correct me if I'm wrong because you're the expert on ghosts for some reason.
I'm
I'm
not.
more
I just
familiar.
think it's funny, man.
I'm more
I
familiar
just
with
think
the.
it's a great. I thought it was a fun discussion, not funny, fun discussion.
No, I'm just thinking that aren't they supposed to be not? They haven't got permission to reach the nether world or other worlds, and they're sort of in limbo,
Yeah.
and hence they're
S-
ghosts because they
Yeah. So
haven't.
the general
Both in
mythology,
Indian and Western mythology, they are stuck.
they're
Um,
stuck because they are not at peace.
Morgan Freeman, for example, was what was he? He was God. He was God. He was
Morgan
God.
Freeman was God.
Yeah.
Yes.
Morgan Freeman.
There was the
Uh,
Whoopi Goldberg movie with Patrick Swayze, was it?
Patrick,
Yeah. Of
you
course,
call
of course.
that the Whoopi Goldberg movie?
She
Sorry,
was just
sorry,
a
but she
small
was there.
role in that. But
But she
She made
was
an
Amit,
Oscar for
there.
that.
That
But it
made
was
her.
the
That
Patrick
made that film.
Swayze, Demi
That film
Moore.
put on another level because it was
No,
really a
but
very appreciated
no,
role,
jump.
small as it was.
She was known for Jumpin' Jack Flash before that.
Yeah, but I'm saying
So
even
yeah,
this one,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was a
yeah,
small role, but it
it
was
was a
very
big one. Yeah, it was a big
impactful.
one for her. But I mean, dude, that's the
Yeah.
Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze movie, no? It's
Correct,
not the
correct.
Whoopi
Yeah,
Goldberg
you're
movie.
right. You're right.
Hey,
It's
Yes.
like,
But
he
she was
likes
a
his ladies
meaningless
a little
villain.
plump. Don't get into that. Now, fatism is a new thing. He
Yeah.
likes the fat
no,
ladies. What's wrong
No,
with that?
I
no,
see
Very
her
I'm
good.
attracted
just
to the comedians. She was a comedian.
I'm just saying,
So
like,
yeah.
calling Ghost the Whoopi Goldberg movie, right? It's like calling Sholay the Asrani movie, right? Or I mean, like,
Okay, yeah, that's true.
it's I mean, like,
No, but
it's
for
true
me,
technically.
I just like the fact that the Americans started using names which are basically expressions of sound. Like whoopee. I was hoping that we'd start doing that. Like an Indian ones like Chi. Imagine your name is Chi. I think that's evolution of sorts. Where you don't have a Henry or Rajesh. Oh, bloody old boring names. Now we're just all sounds, and we should have our sounds because Desi is important. So I would like all the Indian sounds. Imagine your name is Come na. You coming? Great one, yeah. Again, we have to stay with one topic. Back to the ghosts. Which is, hey, Amit, let's get a ghost guy on. Now we already had that one guy who
Yeah,
was the Ghostbuster.
let's do that. Let's look for a
I
paranormal.
want, but we have to get the other side, the ghost
Yeah.
proponent of ghostism.
He was
Who would
not.
be
Also,
He
that?
was somebody who believed in supernatural, right? The guy who we had.
No,
He was
he was
non-committal. He was a little
busting the myth.
non-committal.
Okay.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
He was. Listen, he was trying to get rural India to stop getting because especially rural India, was behaving in an abominable fashion by accepting all these superstitions. Which it was
So
always
that
like a
is a
crusade.
little different. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's
Okay, so he
where he was
wasn't
actually
that.
coming
I
from.
thought didn't we get like a supernatural inspector or something like that, or it's like
Yeah, so
a
We had
supernatural
we had
do
detective?
that
Jailani.
to kill their
Huh.
Yeah, we
fears
had.
mostly.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I need to watch the episodes I'm not on a little more, or listen to the episodes I'm not on a little more.
Do
Don't worry, you're with the two experts, arguably the worst in the podcasting world when it comes to retaining knowledge. So, what can we tell you? I'm so embarrassed because I've twice told Sylvie to put guests on who've already been on the show. Imagine them all wide eyed calling up and saying, "Hi, Shanaz, can you appear on our show? We really, know a lot about you. You're a great blogger, blah, blah." But I've already been on the show.
like
Oh,
yeah, with us.
there's no way back from that. But we can have her again. She's really interesting. Why
Yeah,
don't we have people
absolutely.
again? But we need to have a
We
reason, I
can.
guess. We can't ask the
We
same
can. We
question.
can listen. We can always have people again
Yeah.
if we had a good time talking to them. We should always have. We should
But I
try
want
and
the
do that.
ghost story to be established more.
So
Because what
let's
we
look
need to,
for.
we don't have the
Have you
origin.
guys
See,
had any ghost
Hmm?
experiences of your own?
yeah,
Like that you
I've been
think maybe, might be, maybe, I don't know.
in Mahabaleshwar when I was young. They used to tell us that this one bungalow opposite where we used to stay, somebody else's bungalow, was haunted. And honestly, it was
Okay.
laughable and all that. But in the night, nobody wanted to go near that bungalow. So again, I can't explain it. I think it's just auto suggestion. It's like someone tells you the dog is going to bite you, so you get scared and you won't go near the dog. But actually,
Yeah.
that's not true. So it just goes into your subconscious, and I think, and especially as a child now, because the imagination is much wilder. I think we take it in a more deep and intense way. And so I can't remember if I tried to actually go there in the day. But definitely in the day, you would pass it without feeling the fear you felt in the night. And why that would happen, cannot explain
So
because
I've
I am the
never
night rider.
I've never felt the ghostly experience, or I've never worried that this is a ghost. But I had the same kind of, like, there was on I'm sure you know this one, right? On Ridge Road, before you take a turn to Jamnada, so, like, when you're coming to my
Yeah,
house, right?
yeah.
Next to Rekha building, there used to be an old bungalow which was like broken down and stuff like that, and it used to be called a Bhoot Bangla. And so I know that, like, my friends and me, we would go around for,
In the
like,
night
you'd walk in the evening, right? So basically, you go for a, like,
at
this is
2 in
8,
the
9,
morning,
10,
did you
7,
go?
not 2 in the morning.
That's the key
Yeah,
to
No.
test your
not
courage. Not
not
at
2 in the
7, 8
morning.
in Bombay. It's a
Yeah.
Yeah.
bustling city.
But
Small town.
I don't
Yeah.
see. Here's the thing. I don't necessarily believe in ghosts, but I also don't see the reason why I should tempt ghosts if they are out there. Let
You're
them
like
do their own
us.
thing.
You're like us. There's a
Okay.
10%
Yeah.
reservation
No.
you've kept there for any emergency that a fund that you can turn to in case they do exist. But what do we call
But
them?
you
If
should.
you no, did you say Mr. Ghost like Ghost G? I mean, how do you
Oh,
address a ghost like
that's a good question. I
Shriman
don't know.
Ghost? You don't want to piss the guy off. You don't know what powers the ghost have.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah, no, but that's
You,
why,
you say
exactly, right. So it's like, why, who wants to poke the bear, right? I mean, like, if
Yeah,
if the ghost does not exist, great. If the ghost exists, stay the fuck away from me, right? I don't need to be near you, right? So either way, what
the
is the point
rationalist
of
has
going
fallen.
to?
The rationalist has fallen. The rationalist is
No,
not taking
no,
a
no, 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 no,
chance.
no. Sorry. Rationalism means that you change your mind based on information in front of you. Right now, the information in front of me is such that I do not believe that ghosts exist in this world. If that information changes, I will believe that
Today,
ghosts exist in the world.
you take your phone at 1:30 in the morning, you walk quietly to the Bhoot Bangla, which is hardly 20 meters away from you, and you go inside, and then you take shots of yourself lounging, relaxing, exercising, having a pizza, whatever, and then you come out after half an hour. Thus, exposing that there is no ghost and everybody's happy. Amit,
Right.
is the challenge accepted?
No, why? Why? I see no reason why. I
How are
am
you going
not
to
a
bust the myth?
ghostbuster. It's not. I'm
No.
not a ghostbuster. It's not my. It's not my. But thing in life that I want to
What
make
the
people
hell? This
stop
is not
believing in
Kautilya's
ghosts.
Arthashastra and we're giving bloody brand jobs to everybody and Ghostbusters are a group of 8 people who live in Kanpur. No, 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 no,
Yeah,
no.
but but I don't care enough to want to bust ghost myths, right? So why should I even take the zero point zero zero
Bottom
zero
line
zero
is
zero
all
one
of us,
percent
most
chance
of the
there is
world doesn't
of
have
pissing off a
uh,
ghost?
the cojones to do it in the night. Okay, if it's an
Yeah.
established myth, obviously, but we still won't have the guts to do it, whether it's Mahabaleshwar or here,
We
somewhere
don't,
north or
because
south, we wouldn't do it.
So I mean, it's a collective unconscious, right? I mean, like there's a reason why all of us are scared about many of the same things, right? The idea that being in a drafty, windy, old, dark house is scary. By it just is, right? I mean, like all of us are scared of
Yeah.
that, right? We hear the wind whistling through stuff, and it's just like, well, that's weird and that's scary. So I mean, I see no reason to like. Why should I
Uh,
push a
one
ghost
couple
who
of
has no
practical
problem with
questions that
me?
I'm just thinking. I mean, now that we'll have to go into break anyway without talking. Um, can you have sex with a ghost?
According to the movie
That
Ghost,
is,
you can.
yeah, and
But did
there are
they
like
actually have
experiences
sex,
where
or
people
he just?
say,
I don't know if they actually had sex or not. Actually, you're right. It seems like it
Yeah.
was close. What was the pottery scene? How did that end?
Like if you hug a ghost, do you feel something, or they're just like an energy? Or because
So
they're supposed to
they're
be.
supposed to go right through you, right?
there's also supposed to forget you're supposed to have
That
this
sounds
feeling of
bad.
like cold, like
Yeah,
like
cool.
you
Yeah,
freeze or chilly as they pass through you, and you're also supposed to
yeah.
feel slightly damp because of the ectoplasm, which is the green thing. The ectoplasm is what I think is supposed to be green. That's why I
Bloody
said green.
rubbish.
No, people are making fun of the green ghost, which is why
Huh.
I'm saying that
Yeah.
there was a it wasn't just pulled out
I
of my this, right? I mean, like ectoplasm is supposed to be greenish.
I had an interesting experience once that I can actually talk about it after the break if you want. It's
Okay,
Yeah,
good
let's
for a
yeah,
take a
let's
couple of
break.
take a
minutes.
break without a single topic. This is our world record. A full half hour
Yes,
has gone
great.
without a single
That's how we
topic,
do it.
and we're stuck on ghosts, of which neither of us is close to being an expert. That's the sad part. Here's the
But
break. Amit, have
Yeah.
your drink
I will
while
have
the
my
break
drink.
is on. And as the break recedes, I hear an eerie voice in the background. Folks, if you see anyone walking behind me,
Ooh.
it's yeah, yeah, Silverie.
Ooh.
Use all the senses. Yeah? It may be his help,
Yeah.
or it may be the guy who died 400 years ago before the building was built. Yeah,
Yep. Who
Chandra
knows? Yeah.
Prakash. Ooh. Why do you ever make the ooh sound? I mean, that's so immature. What
It's-
kind of ghost was
that's so, yeah, I know.
ooh?
That's
That
so
makes no
such a,
sense.
yeah. That's, I'm stereotyping ghost. I'm sorry. I'm generalizing.
Exactly. No, if they
It's not
if
true.
they come in front of
Yeah.
you, you're already scared. I would think because of the whole, like you said, this is the streams of unconscious, which is flowing at that moment. And why would you need the extra, claps and sound and fury and oohs and chairs moving? The other thing they do in movies, they move furniture. What's that about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I think that's just
Parsis,
the same
Parsis would hate ghosts. You touch a Parsi home, you move a chair, and generally they would go berserk. I mean, Taiwan and Merbanu would be like, "What the fuck is going on here?" They just strangle the ghost. You cannot move furniture in a Parsi home. It's not possible. So there are no Parsi ghosts. It's proven. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I think we should
uh,
end this
So
topic
yeah,
now.
let's yeah,
Bury
let's
it.
yeah.
go to
Irony here.
like I
Let's bury the ghost. Yeah. All right.
So I get to my story. Okay, quickly.
Ah,
Before
yeah.
that, do you guys know? Yeah, yeah. Do you guys know what a creepy pasta is? Have you heard of the term creepy pasta? It's a
Is that
nonsensical
the
term, but have you heard
bug?
of it?
Is that like that centipede type bug?
No, no,
No.
no, no, no,
Okay.
no. So a creepy pasta, it's like a nonsense term for
Okay.
a horror story that has been propagated through the internet, that has spread through the internet. Okay, it's
Okay.
almost not related to
Which
what
is
it
true
actually
or
means.
untrue? Which is true? A true story or
It's
untrue?
probably, we don't know. It's a horror story. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's untrue.
Oh,
We
so
don't really.
it's like a play on copy paste. Like copy paste are these stories which people like that. These it's a red.
Fundamentally, are they rumors which are pushed forward, or are they,
Yeah, yeah. They're
you know,
rumors. They're rumors that are pushed forward. Yeah,
okay,
correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
just like
No, go ahead,
creating
so
please.
podcast?
Please go ahead.
yeah. So that's what a creepypasta is. So, and there are like some very famous creepypasta stories that exist. There's something called Jeff the Killer, about a guy who killed his brother and then cut off his own eyelids so he could never go to sleep at night. Okay, that's a very famous one. There's something called Smile Dog. If you want like nightmarish kind of just an imagery in your mind, just search for Smile Dog. It's a dog smiling. You've seen that photo before, but you didn't know it was a creepypasta. So there are like many of these that exist. Okay, there is
What
one
is
such thing
wrong
called
with
Slender Man.
you? What the hell are you doing,
It's
Silvery, with
very
your
interesting.
life?
It's so damn
Is
interesting, man.
Slender Man isn't Slender Man a isn't that like an older urban legend? I feel like that's pre-internet.
That's I think that's one of the original ones, but that's definitely counted as as a creepypasta as well.
Okay.
But maybe it's like one of the original ones, or like one of the
Yeah,
first few
I
ones that
feel
came
like
out. That's why.
Slender Man was referenced in a episode of the TV show Supernatural, if I'm not
Very
mistaken.
possibly, because Slenderman, there have been movies made now. There are games.
Oh,
It's the most popular creepypasta that exists. The Slenderman
okay.
thing.
All right.
Yeah. That's why maybe that's why they talk about it in multiple mediums. A few years back, there was a little girl who committed a murder, and
Oh,
the two little girls said that the Slender Man made them do it.
one
Because
second.
yeah,
This is a
that's
real story now.
just part of
A
that. The
young
second,
girl.
the
Oh,
yeah, the little girl thing was a
she,
real story. Yeah,
it's getting me. Is she in the room? The way you're putting your hand out there, she's like she's right there.
She is
Please,
right there.
please don't tell me her name is
yeah.
Maya.
Hey, it's
Can't you see
fine.
the
It's fine.
greenish outline right next to Antariksh?
I know. I heard somebody say whatever. I'm a little worried now. Listen, listen. How old was the girl who committed the murder?
I want to say around 10, maybe even less
That
than 10.
young. Are
Very
you
Yikes.
young, very
kidding?
young, very young. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bro, this is the worst podcast we've ever been on.
But
I can't believe this
wait.
conversation. There's worse.
So no, that's my part of the story. This is just
Uh,
the shit she did. That poor thing.
this is
Okay.
your personal
Uh,
story now.
this is a personal thing. Yeah. So one day, me and my friend are sitting, and we are talking about a conversation about creepypastas, and we talk about everything. So we start with Slenderman, okay, and then we talk about all the creepypastas that we know, and we both are fascinated by the stuff. And after about say 5 minutes of talking about 5-10 minutes of talking about the stuff, we move on to then other topics. Okay.
Hmm.
Like for 40 minutes to an hour, I'm talking to him about something completely different. Okay. After about an hour, randomly, my Google phone, the Google Assistant goes, "Sorry, I could not find results for Slender Man." So the entire conversation I had
Have you
with him,
spoken to the
okay,
app
for an
before?
hour, I had not spoken about anything. I hadn't said Slender Man. And how is it that all the app caught was the word Slender Man and nothing else from our conversation at all?
And that too after one
So it
hour.
was just, yeah, after like an hour, exactly, just randomly, we are talking about something
You have
completely
the same Wi-Fi guy
different at
that
that
I
point.
have. Everything is happening later.
So-
Were you
Got
scared?
stuck in the queue of searching.
Were you scared? Or just
no, it
yeah?
was definitely eerie. We both noticed just the odds of that happening was insane. But yeah, I find that very
It
interesting. That
is. It's
that's the
it's really
Slenderman thing.
strange. So basically, you're saying that like the Google, the search voice, gave you a
Yeah,
result
the search
without you
voice.
asking something.
Yeah, without
That's
me asking something.
weird.
Exactly.
But even if the
Yeah.
app was somehow open or whatever, how did it take 1 hour to give the answer? I don't think it ever could. It have
Internet
a
connection.
Like,
Or
1 hour.
that's the only
Slender Man.
explanation. But yeah, but we had been like, so not. I don't know if you were searching for other stuff, but I didn't have internet
No, so
problems the rest of the day.
Can you do
Like
it
it was
again?
fine.
You do this experiment
Like,
again.
like
Exactly the same way.
I don't know.
You have a
It just
chat
can't
and then
happen.
stop and go and talk about cricket or football or whatever the hell you talk about, and then come back after 1 hour and see what happens. I mean, give it 1 hour and see what happens. Same phone.
Yeah, same phone. Same phone. Yeah, still the same phone.
Hmm,
It's your birthday tomorrow, brother. Be
interesting.
very careful. God and the ghosts concentrate on people on their birthday.
Yeah, that's true.
Ooh, it's just good Gujarati for me. All right.
Yeah.
Topic number one,
Yeah.
10:37.
All right, yes, please. Topic going on. Yes, finally.
We'll
Yes.
record.
So
We'll do one topic and then go to AMAs because I
I
actually do have
think
to
so.
stop at 11 today.
Or we can just go back to ghosts, kitch out for 5 minutes and do AMAs anyway. Yeah.
no, let's talk about this topic. It's a very interesting topic. I want to say Saturday, June 5th, the Saturday that just went by, Anonymous, the hacker group Anonymous, came out with basically like a threat video against Elon Musk. Basically saying that Elon Musk, you are all this time you have enjoyed like being people's favorite from the billionaire class. You're the only one that people like from the billionaire class, so you've enjoyed like all the perks of being a likable billionaire class person. But what your tweets in the last week have shown us that you don't care about people's well-being and you don't care about what other people say. Basically, they say it seems that the games you have played with the crypto markets have destroyed lives. And the video states, adding that the tweets show a clear disregard for the average working person. So because of that, they've said that this is basically a threat, and you think you are the smartest person in the room, but now you have met your match. We are Anonymous, we are Legion, expect us. So basically they're saying, okay, dude, calm down with your tweets.
It sounds like
Uh,
another ghost.
This sounds like basically this sounds like a
sorry.
bunch of people over invested in crypto
Yeah,
whose prices have crashed.
sorry, I forgot to
Yeah.
read it in the anonymous accent of the this is a message from Anonymous for Elon Musk.
Uh,
Do it.
but so
Yeah.
I mean, what's the deal with Elon Musk exactly on this?
Nothing. I mean, like he's just fucking
He
around with crypto
fudges the
markets,
market.
right?
Okay.
So there are a couple of things, right? So one is there's actually a more serious conspiracy about his activities in crypto. But
Mm.
what's happening is that he's making fun of Dogecoin, which is like a cryptocurrency
Get it out.
created
Yeah.
from like a dog picture or something like that, which went crazy high before he got onto Saturday Night Live because he was tweeting about it.
Yeah.
Tesla, but the more interesting or the more kind of complicated possibility around this, right, is Tesla used to accept Bitcoin, or they were saying that they were accepting Bitcoin,
Very very
and then
short
they
period of
stopped.
time.
And then they stopped
Pro-
because
Yeah.
of environmental issues and stuff like that. Bitcoin is very expensive to kind of create, right? Uh,
Mm.
I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know if you
What's the
guys know how.
environmental issue?
So
Oh,
the way Bit,
Yeah.
encouraging them to create the coin. Okay.
yeah, so when you create, so you create Bitcoin by mining. Mining requires
Okay. Got it. Got it. Got
computing
it.
power. Computing power requires energy.
Okay.
The amount of energy being used right now on the to mine a single Bitcoin, if I'm not mistaken, or it's not that, but there's some comparison. So basically, you're mining as much energy as nation states are right now to maintain this
It's
currency.
like blood diamonds, but a higher currency. Huh.
It's
Then
it's electricity, right? Like, so I mean, like, I think they're using so much electricity, and so he stopped using Bitcoin. At the same time, when he stopped doing it, the Bitcoin prices more or less crashed, right? And so that is a market kind of mechanism which could be fudged in some ways, especially when you're so active in these kinds of things. Tesla also held Bitcoin. Not only were they what you call it, not only were they accepting
they
Bitcoin
hoarded
as
Bitcoin.
payment. No,
Mm.
they invested in Bitcoin. They put money into Bitcoin and they kept Bitcoin as on
No, when
reserve.
they stopped payments in Bitcoin, were they still invested in Bitcoin or not?
That's the question, because if they were not, then what they did is first they sold out their stake and then they basically crashed the market, right?
Ah,
Which would not
very
be great,
interesting.
right?
But it's
So
been done all over the world many times before. Huh.
yeah, so it's just it's a weird one, but at the same time, it's also like it also lays out some of the weaknesses in crypto. I think crypto is a very interesting idea. I think the possibility of it is quite strong and quite good, but I think that a lot of people who are pro crypto also overstate what are the benefits and
And
understate what are the risks.
you've invested yourself in a little bit of
That time passed there. I'm not really invested in crypto. I was, like I told you, poker money. I haven't played poker in a year, right? So poker money is going into Bitcoin instead.
I invested like about 2 weeks back. I invested a
Oh,
bit, and then the market's like
and I'm sure
completely
you're
crashed,
not
and I'm like,
happy.
okay, this
Yeah,
is terrible.
I'm sure you're not happy. Yeah.
may I ask how
Yes,
much
yes.
vaguely?
Uh,
About 20 I've put in right now,
So it was
yeah.
like a punt
in
you could
different
risk
different currencies. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
20.
see, it's
yeah.
it's
That's a
money
whole
you
month's
put in and
salary. A lot
you
of
put in
people.
and you
Huh.
forget.
I mean,
You put in and you forget, right? I mean,
yeah,
like, if
basically.
you are
Yeah.
none of us to trade in any kind of crypto right now is foolish. We don't know
Hmm.
jack about any of
Yeah.
these
You
things.
guys have got it all wrong. The best way to grow money is do the Indian old fashioned way, put it under your mattress. That's where you keep your money.
And then
Just
put
don't
seeds
understand.
on it and put some dirt around it as well.
Yes.
Maybe, like,
Let it grow.
just
And in
let
my
it grow.
case, it's so safe because nobody shares the bed with me and never will. So there's no worry. It's the safest place to be. Anyway, bottom
Uh,
line is Elon Musk is guilty of a little fudging, of a little manipulating.
no,
Uh,
not necessarily. I mean, like, again,
if he bought and
Anonymous is
sold at the same time
overstated
he
as
is,
well. Huh?
if he sold at the same time he is,
But
I
it's
mean,
not
you're not
illegal to
clear
do
about that.
this.
That's
See,
it.
see,
No, it's not
this is
illegal,
what but these are
but
the
it's
risks,
ruthless.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but these are the risks around crypto right now, right? That it's completely unregulated. You don't know how anybody can manipulate the market. So China is where a lot of the Bitcoin stuff is being mined right now. And when China went, so like there was a part of the power grid that went off for like 12 hours, 14 hours, or something like that. And basically, Bitcoin couldn't be processed because all the mining was happening in China, right? And
You know,
so basically the it is so there's just so many different kinds of plays. There's so many
but
different risks. I mean, like, it's a yeah, it's just
no, I used to get really confused initially. I thought Bitcoin meant, it's just part of the coin and the rest will come later. I thought that was the whole idea behind it. So I was like, it would be like like a jagged thing, and it would come, and then the rest would reach in the fullness of time. But obviously, it's not that. So good to know. It's a lesson in
yeah.
reality. We've learned about ghosts and Bitcoin and nothing much else. Antisocial versus asocial,
Uh,
astrology, and the dependence of superstition.
yep.
It's been a pretty. If you look at it,
We've had a well-rounded episode.
yeah,
Yeah.
swings and
Yeah.
roundabouts, as they say. Young man, shall we go to the
Yes,
AMAs?
sir.
Because it's
Let's go to the
10:45.
Yeah,
MS.
How
Yeah.
yeah,
time passed today? It's
yeah.
almost like we're drinking. Yeah. So I only
But
remember this when I used to drink alcohol. It was just suddenly it's like 11 in no time. There's just some correlation between drinking and that. But now that we don't, I don't know
yeah.
anymore. Sorry, AMAs?
All right, sure. The first one comes in from Janil Bain. He says, Macron being slapped, Indian
Yeah,
style of politics seems to have
yeah.
crossed borders.
No,
What do
no,
you
it's
guys
not
say?
Indian style. It's not
Yeah,
Indian style. There's no chappal. If there's no chappal, you're
There's
not
no
Indian.
that's
In
America.
India, you
But
throw,
America,
and you never throw two
shoe.
chappals. You always throw one chappal. So that
Yeah.
means you're also taking one for the team because you have to go back home wearing one chappal. I'm thinking people never think about what the rebel goes through. You throw one, you have one, you go home with only one, generally speaking.
but I mean,
So
this shit happens everywhere. Right? Didn't George Bush get like a shoe thrown at him?
Yeah.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
mean, like,
Yeah.
Australian PM got egg thrown at
yeah,
him.
I mean,
Yeah, it
uh,
comes with the
pol-
territory, you can say.
it comes exactly when you're when you're in power and people dislike what you're doing. It's
Nobody
not
will
that
do it to
people.
our prime minister. I'll tell you that. Our
Yeah, probably
security
not.
cordon of 8 million people and all, and it's just very
Prob-
unlikely.
Probably not. But I think so. There is definitely a difference in the approachability, just generally, of Indian politicians versus other country politicians, right? You're never going to
Yeah.
see a
Never.
Indian politician in a way which is accessible. At least not a major one. Not somebody of the kind of like with the power where somebody will want to go out and
I'll put it
slap
this
him in
way:
public. Or
you'll see the Indian Premier at the French Open possibly and shaking hands, but not at the Indian Open. That won't
yeah,
happen because out there he'll be completely cordoned off with millions of people, and no one will be 100 feet.
yeah.
You just won't be able to come close. I can't remember them ever doing since maybe Rajiv Gandhi's time ever doing a sort of public thing which is not orchestrated completely.
Hmm.
You know,
I
where they have 20 people who they've trained to come.
I would also say that why they shouldn't, right? I mean, like since Rajiv Gandhi's time, I mean, like we
Yeah,
remember how Rajiv Gandhi died, right?
yeah,
I mean, like it
yeah.
was a
He was
place
trying
where
to be a
people,
connect.
yeah,
The Padyatra is all that. You have to connect with the people on a physical level.
exactly,
Physical is very
yeah,
important. So they
yeah.
actually get off and hug people, pick up the baby. Westerners do the same thing. All those lovely humane moments, and you never see those people again. This kind of relationships I want. You meet people, you show love, and you never see them again. This is the one thing I think is good for humanity. Because when you see people again, it's tough to show love. But for first time, you can show love, and it's sort of even sincere for a bit, and then you never see them again. And you can
I'm just
Hmm.
looking. Sorry, I'm looking at our comments right
yeah,
now, and
show
I
it.
just feel. No, I'm just so our old friend Srinivas Kulkarni, he had Bitcoin at 5K. He got out. He had five
Oh,
thousand.
wow.
He had 5,000 rupee bitcoins, and he
No,
got
no.
out
So
of
how,
it.
he got out when?
It's
Up or down?
he got out at 20,000. It's 5 lakhs now, no, 4 lakhs
Oh,
now.
not bad.
Hmm.
Oh, he
So
got out at 20, but
he got out at 20,000. Yeah, so he apparently made some money, but yeah, man,
blockchain is
20,
for the future.
is the fucking future. I mean, like I'm sure that's how he feels right now, given that
Hey
he
man,
got out at like
everything is a
20.
punt. Otherwise, everybody would make money. I mean, everything is a
That's
punt.
true.
It's not like you can do.
No,
I
that's
mean,
true. That's true. That's true.
Yep.
I wish this show could just tell them exactly what to do. That would be the best show ever. You don't have gags or controversies or fancy guests. You just sit and tell people, this is guarantee you're going to make money. Just follow one, two, three steps. I know there are many shows like that, but none of them are super successful because actually, at the end of the day, they don't really guarantee anything. But maybe we
You
should lie.
never know. Yeah, you never know about anything, right? Even this stuff, right? Like so, yeah, I'm not a crypto expert really, right? But I mean, like I've done a little bit of reading around it, and the two primary things that people look at is Bitcoin and Ethereum, right, as the two main
Yeah.
kind of this, or the two this. And I mean, like when you read at them, it seems like Ethereum has more utility, but at the same
Hmm.
time, Bitcoin has more brand value, and you never know how this stuff's gonna work.
Do you think Superman would be able to handle crypto?
He could
Like,
handle crypto as long as it was a knight.
okay, there's no need to
See,
kill that
see, I
gag.
could make the
Like,
joke. I could do the joke too. I'm not a comedian, but I
the
can
gag
do a joke.
ends on I mean, the gag ends on crypto. We don't have
No,
to
it
feed it
cannot
after
end
that.
on
You do
crypto.
the
It
Kunal
cannot end
Vijayakar.
on crypto. It
This is
cannot
Kunal
end.
Vijayakar moment. This is now you could explain
No, it's
everything,
not a Kunal
underline
Vijayakar
it,
moment.
and do the comprehension of the boy said this because. Okay, next one.
All right. Next one comes in from Arthik Shetty. Arthik Shetty says, "Morning, guys. With the Euro starting today, will you guys be following it? If yes, which teams will you be supporting?"
We already had a horrible moment in the night at dinner where we were discussing the Euro Cup, and I was trying to explain to my wife about football. And my mom, who actually likes sports, said, "Yes, yes, tomorrow is the opening. It's Brazil versus Argentina." and then everybody, of course, took off because Euro Cup and their South American countries, and, so my poor mom had to cop a bit from my daughter for the next 5 minutes. Yeah, but it's a very strange Euro Cup this time with different cities and groups in different parts of, thanks to COVID, different parts of Europe. But what I find fascinating, and also in the French Open, the same problem is that Indians generally gravitate towards names they can pronounce. That's the problem. So lots of teams, because the East European teams, some of them are very difficult to pronounce, and you can't remember their names. The recall is difficult. You tend to stay with England, Scotland, Spain, even Portugal, because the names sound like Argoan names or whatever. There's some sort of similarity. So I think people stay with those names. In tennis, the moment Serena, Federer, names like that crashed out, you're suddenly struggling. We have a 29-year-old girl whose name, her first name is Anastasia. Her second name is Paldalawowski. I tried my best. I watched the game. I just can't remember her name. It's 5 syllables. She's a veteran. She's reached the final. She's waiting for the other semi-final to see who the opponent is. But I couldn't say her name. I still can't. And I saw the whole game. Imagine the whole game, and I can't say her name. Anastasia Pudalawowski. You can Google. You can go online
Uh,
and check. But it's a very tough name. So that's
yeah.
going to be a challenge. It's going to be a real challenge getting your names right. Silvery, are you going to get into football finally or not?
No, not really. I don't. I just don't. I'm not interested in sports. Watching sports at all, man. It just
But it's
that
great
doesn't
fun
interest
watching
me.
Indians in the old days when we didn't have lockdown in bars or clubs cheering for their team and wearing their shirts. Oh, you're wearing
Yeah.
Croatia. You don't even know the capital of the country, but you're screaming for the one name you can pronounce. Dragon, come on, whatever. And they really get into it. And it's so
Yeah.
insincere in some ways, but yet it's kind of cute because of the way we just get into it totally and adopt teams. Like in the old days for the World Cup, all the Bengalis would adopt Brazil. That was
I
it. You could argue.
I remember Brazil was like maybe 2000 World Cups are 2002, right? They're in the 2 4 2 6 10
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
14, right?
14,
Yeah,
18,
yeah.
22. Should we
Yeah,
do the
so
maths?
yeah, I'm just trying to think. So it was either 98 or 2002 because that's the last
98
time I
France.
really
Yeah, yeah.
participated in a the one that France
2002
won.
was South Korea, Japan, if I
Yeah,
remember
no, the
correctly.
one that France won one of those, right?
98. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
2002
So the
West
one that
Germany won. Oh, sorry, Germany won. West Germany.
okay, all right. So I think
Slap!
but I remember going for a couple of like bar type things, right? Where people are like hundreds of people watching the match together.
Zidane,
Everybody was a
Zidane.
fuck. Everybody was a Brazil fan. Everybody
Yeah.
was a Brazil fan.
It was
It was
Ronaldo, Romario, Ronaldinho, that group.
Ronaldo,
Yeah.
Ronaldinho. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
time. Yeah,
yeah. And they all
it was.
Brazil, and of course our different Brazil. I like Brazil, Brazil.
Yeah.
I like Brazil. The way we say it, and that song was huge. It was like Alice. Like you know that
Uh,
Brazil song, Brazil, la 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 la
yeah,
la.
yeah,
The
yeah.
whole room would
You,
light up, and everyone would be yeah.
you remember there was this place called Three Flights Up at
Of
Kolaba? Like it
course,
was a
it was
gigantic
Tendulkar's
place,
first.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, before it became Tendulkar's after that, right?
Oh, sorry, yeah,
But it was this like gigantic place, like you'd never
gigantic
seen a club that
and
size at
very
that point.
sporty. They would
Yeah,
have all these sporting events there. Yeah.
yeah. And so I remember going and watching the matches over there, and yeah, man. I mean, like it was just like, where do all these Brazil fans come from? I was really surprised by that. It was like what connection to Brazil is there?
We should have a Brazil quiz after the game. Okay, who's the prime minister now? Because Bolsonaro is world famous,
I
but
bet
in
if you
those days,
ask people, no, even back then, if you had asked people in those days, what language do people from Brazil speak, they
they'll
would
all
have
say
gotten that
Spanish.
wrong.
Yeah,
Most would
instead of
say Spanish.
Portuguese. Yeah,
Most would say
yeah.
Hmm.
Spanish. So,
How enlightened are we, bro? How we know all
well,
these things? You don't even like
but
football. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Honestly, I didn't know
But this
Brazil
must
was.
be, I don't know if the rest of
Uh,
the Asian countries adopt the other countries so much as we do. We really, when we are watching football, Indians who are interested in it, they just adopt the team, whether it's La Liga, EPL, whether it's Euro Cup, Copa America,
mm,
wherever it is, they just adopt the team and they treat it like India. It's like India.
yep.
It's just like India with a different name now for a little while. And they wear
Well,
the shirts and they get into it. There's some
you have to,
social.
right? If you want to, I mean, like, I get it. I understand why people do that, right? I was just so surprised that Brazil was the country that was picked in that sense, right? But why people do it? Because India's not great at football internationally.
No, no,
Hmm.
Brazil
So,
was the glamour country also. No, the Pele and Garincha and all these
yeah.
big names coming down all into the
Mm.
70s and beyond that. And then, of course, Argentina rose with the Maradona legacy. And so there were some countries who were in countries. Yeah.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, true. I guess.
They have their own stars which propagated everything. But Bengal definitely moved to Brazil, and I suppose Goa would go for Portugal sometimes, or Brazil again, because that's close to the.
Really?
Well, there's a legacy now between the Portuguese being there and the
Is
all
it a
that.
legacy where you would root
I
for
met some
them?
Goan friends of mine who support Portugal openly. They say we're Portuguese in that sense, in a funny light. Yeah.
In the sense that they can get the Portuguese Euro passport, right?
There's they some of like people from the past spoke Portuguese. Lots of the
Yeah, but
uh,
I mean, like, it was still. I mean, like, it wasn't
no,
exactly.
but you find. I'm saying when you find you're not part of that thing, you find a reason to be part of the thing. Like if Parsi could support Iran in say the World Cup, and if there's no India, why
Iran
not?
is
Will you say I've
different.
got to, I've got to? No, but I'm saying you have to find some reason, a
Would
tangible
you
reason.
ever like? So, I mean, like, I don't know. I
We
mean, like,
did.
maybe
I
I'm just.
supported Ali Dai. I remember Iran was in one World Cup. We're cheering them on.
Well,
There's no reason
see.
really.
Again, I think Parsi supporting Iran is different than Indians supporting England, right? I don't think that Indians should would support England in a World Cup
You
thing,
know,
would they?
there's no India. So what's the problem, Amit? You're not supporting England versus India. You're supporting England versus Spain. Who cares?
I still
It's like
find it.
watching a movie and this guy is fighting that guy, and you support this guy against that guy. Who cares? There's no
Okay.
patriotism involved really. It's just. But again, it comes down to the fact your dog versus my dog. It comes down to that. You
No,
adopt
but see, the
something,
thing
and
is,
then
when you're talking about a private club, right? Then it doesn't matter. But when you're talking about following a nation and basically becoming the
but
nation's
there's no
cheerleader,
India. It's a Euro Cup. There's no conflict of
I
interest. What's the
understand
problem?
that. But I mean, like, these are the people who
Your
basically
own
rooted
friends
us
do it.
for
It's our class of
500
society who
years.
does it the most. Your own friends will be doing it. They
I
will
know.
support and
I'm
support
sure
in
they
a
will.
aggressive manner.
I'm sure they will, and I'm sure I will mock them if it ever comes across to me, right? But I mean, like, I find that a little
Just do the
uncomfortable.
quiz. Be the petty guy in the room who does the quiz. You like Spain? Tell me which part of Spain has the rebellion issue and the
Yeah,
problem
no,
with
I'm
the
sorry. I have a little bit more
separation.
of a need to be liked than to do that. But
What's happened to us? Is nobody a prick anymore? I mean, is this going to be a PC society that we've inherited? Everybody's going to be so nice. Come on, Portugal! By the way, are you supporting England, Amit? Now that you mentioned it in Euro Cup,
uh, no, probably not.
you don't give
Listen.
you
I'm
don't give
not.
a
I don't.
what
Listen.
else?
I am. There's either stay up late to watch football or wake up early to watch basketball. It's not really a competition for me.
Which is the bigger ball?
I think a
Basketball.
basketball is larger.
It's harder for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's harder,
remember.
definitely. I think it's larger also.
I think
I
It
think
is
it
larger. It
is.
is larger.
Yeah.
Yep. Can we get to some more AMAs? There are like a lot
yeah,
more,
Yes.
and we won't be able
Let's
to
do
get
a
to most of
couple
them.
quickly. I
Yeah.
do need to leave
yeah.
soon. Yeah.
I
But
also
Okay. Sure.
have to
Sure.
go.
Sure. Sure. Next one comes in from Spurti Venkatesh. Hey, Cyrus, Amit, and Silverie. What do you guys think about the Wuhan lab leak theory of COVID? So this has
oh,
gained new ground. This theory has gained
yep.
new ground because now it's coming out that guys, it could actually be the Wuhan lab leak theory that led to the rise of COVID.
Yeah,
And
it's possible.
initially, what had happened was they people were like basically, if someone suggested the Wuhan lab leak theory, they would be
They
shamed.
disappear.
Basically,
They
yeah,
disappear.
they
Also,
like
it's
that.
very clear, right? If you do that, then the finger of blame falls on the country. Okay, whether they like it or not. And
Yeah,
if you don't, and it's purely from an animal, or then it's almost just incidental, and there's nothing you could do, sort of thing. So it's just simply that. But now, if that is to be, the question is, it's not deliberate, right? I mean,
No, it's
that would be
accidental.
too much.
It's not
So
weaponized,
if it's
right?
accidental, then but still, they don't want the embarrassment of the
No, so it's not
accidental
about
crime.
China, right? I think it's about how the rest of the world reacted to the lab leak as a thing. And I'm sure I've done. We spoke about
Donald
this,
Trump went
and
berserk.
yeah,
He,
that's the problem, right? The thing is that Donald Trump went off half cocked on this stuff, and not just Donald Trump, but a bunch of other right wing fingers, right?
no, what was the
And
figure he
there,
asked them to pay? Some 20
oh,
trillion million or something.
I-
It's like I mean, he spent 2 days getting the zeros in. It was like a ridiculous figure. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
yeah, no, it's just uh the the entire lab leak theory at the time when it was being proposed initially was always tinged with this kind of racism, right, which made a lot of people uncomfortable. Now the
yeah,
fact is, because it wasn't
Well,
completely evidence based, it was
they
more
beat up
theoretical.
people of the Oriental race, not necessarily Chinese, in
Yeah.
America immediately after that. In the first wave when this blame
Uh,
game started, so you can imagine that racism will happen immediately
and
everywhere.
it's become a little bit of a problem. It's an ongoing problem. Yeah,
But
Antariksh.
Yeah.
another thing they're saying is that America had partially funded this lab. So some of the research that was being
Mm,
done in the Wuhan lab was partially being
yeah,
funded by
but so
America and by the US.
the
So maybe
point that
that's why they didn't want this theory out there, because they were like, oh, we'll be blamed for it, or we could be
No, but
blamed
the
for it and
active,
stuff.
that's not an active participation.
yeah,
They're not involved
Fauci's
really.
Fauci's
Yeah.
comment was that we provided a $120,000 grant to an institute which has a $3 billion a year budget.
Yeah. That's pointless. The equity of less than 1%.
I
Who
mean, like,
cares?
it was a
Yeah.
grant. It was a grant given to a specific scientist,
These are
right?
this is how people, because you're prejudiced towards for or against, you push a story through, and
Yeah.
then people don't look at
Yeah.
details. They see the headline and say, okay, yeah, but America's involved. They only built it. See, karma coming back to bite their own ass. All that.
No, and also, but see, the thing is also that I mean, like, it is instructive, right? Because my instinctual reaction to the lab leak stuff 6 months ago was like, yeah, this is a bunch of racist nonsense. But now, when people who I trust are writing about this and saying that, hey, this is a real thing, that it's possible, we don't know, it could be zoological, or it could be a lab leak, or it could be something we're
I
not
choose the
sure
word
of yet.
man-made, because
Oh,
man-made is the issue. If it's man-made, that means in some way we have contributed to the causing of this virus to escape into the atmosphere.
so
Then,
it's
then,
not.
then
I don't
then you
think
have to
it's
be some.
man-made.
It's man-made in the sense that they were experimenting with something, and
Yeah,
the
so
virus
it
was born.
escaped.
So
It
it
escaped. No,
escaped,
no, no.
but
It's not created. It was not created.
it
Again, I
was a
don't think
byproduct. It was a byproduct. But
uh,
if your
the
human interference wasn't there, Amit, this wouldn't have happened. That's
that is
Look
true.
at it reverse,
That
reverse and
that
look
is
at it,
true. So
right?
the understanding I have, but look at it in this sense as well, right? If we want to be able to know what is going on in the world of diseases, what's coming, right, which is a part of the whole epidemiology field, right, to basically predict how diseases are coming, what flus are coming, so that flu vaccines can be developed. What's coming? That means you have to study the diseases that the animals have in the wildlife, in the wild, right? You have to be able to collect species. You have to collect samples from different species to see what is going on, how the diseases that they have are evolving. So you have to test that in a lab, right, to know what is going on. And now there is a difference then from the point at which the lab, there is a leak where the security protocols which were keeping those disease virus molecules or whatever in a place was kind of breached, and somebody got infected because of a leak, and somebody actually genetically modifying a virus and turning it into something is a different, these are two different things, and
Yeah,
they're
but
being conflated.
you're looking at the same point actually, because at the end of the day, the scientists, as you say, are not to blame because they experiment on something which will further humankind in some way. But there was a breach of security and
Yeah.
something escaped and whatever. But at the end of the day, whose the responsibility? I mean, you got to who the buck stops with
Well,
whom?
this is the world we live in. I don't know that I mean, like, should China be held responsible? They should be held responsible for certain things. Absolutely, they should absolutely be held responsible for the first 2 3 months of how they suppressed information around this stuff, right?
I like your
But
thinking. Chinese
what?
sponsor. I like the way you're going with this.
Yeah,
Even though the government is not approving right now, the badminton federation is not allowed Li Ning to be on the badminton bound folks going to Tokyo. The Li Ning sponsor has been taken off, so we have to be careful. But
yes,
I like your thinking. Yeah.
yes.
Okay, let's not blame
Okay.
anyone.
Last.
No,
The point of the matter is that
Sorry,
it
please
did
go ahead.
escape from the lab. That's it. If it did,
yeah.
right?
It might have. Again, see, it's not known that it has. It might have. It might not be a wet. It could be a wet market. It could be a hop in the wild. It could be a lab leak. It could
You're
be any of
saying
these things.
the jury's still out there.
That's what the last article I read with some detail was the article written by the guy who got fired from the New York Times for different reasons. But he has this new Substack, and he had written a long article about this. That's the last one I read. And based on what I read from that article, it can be a bunch of different things.
I think there's only one way out of this. Investigative reporter Antariksh, known as Silverie, will go to Wuhan. He will investigate the matter and come back after 3 months.
Probably the
Yeah,
Silverie,
yeah,
safest place
absolutely.
in the world right now. No corona whatsoever.
yeah, maybe you
Yes.
get yourself a nice little Wuhanese wife. Huh? Will the parents
Yeah,
approve?
why not?
Huh?
I mean,
And the
they'll
fact that
have
you don't
to. She's COVID
imagine your
free.
conversations, you won't know a word she's saying, you won't know a word you're saying. It's a perfect marriage. Trust me. This kind of communication what keeps people happy when you really don't know what's going on. There's something in that. Think about it. We'll work on that in the
Sure, sure.
meantime. Shall we do a quick one? It's 11:04.
Yeah, let's
Just
just do the last
quick.
one. Yeah.
Last
Yeah,
one
last
minute.
one. So Srinivas Kulkarni has posted a very interesting comment. He says, I've worked graveyard shifts in call centers and have not seen a ghost on CCTV. Basically, a guy talking to an empty chair who claimed he spoke to a girl. It continues. The guy, when he saw the CCTV, freaked out and quit the job. He either had paranoia slash schizophrenia, or there was a spirit in the chair.
He's answered it also, actually. I mean, I didn't even think about that. The mental imbalance in the person,
Yeah.
which causes you to. We didn't even get into that side. People who think they. Because those people, apparently, if you have the mental imbalance, you absolutely believe what you've seen.
Yeah.
So you're not really lying in a sense, because in your mind, this has happened. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. It's a people can make themselves believe all kinds of things, right? That's absolutely there. I can't believe I forgot this right when we were talking about ghosts so much earlier.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever had? I don't know if this is a. So there's a thing in our family, or it used to be called Baba Avesha, which basically means that ancestors'
I'll be
ghost
back.
is coming into somebody's body, and he is then giving them advice. And I remember seeing this when I was like probably 10 years old or 11 years old, and even back then I was like this. I'm just like, wow, because I thought it was bullshit even back then, right? When I was seeing the whole thing, but it's something that a lot of people really kind of do believe. And
Yeah.
what's kind of somewhat strange, right, Cyrus, is that there's no financial motive, right? So is it just a self-aggrandizement thing, or is it something where you actually do believe that this is something you're happening?
All
Because
the
this guy
greatness of
would,
the ancestor lives on with that
yeah,
process, no?
I don't
Because
know,
it
because
becomes
see
like a
this,
godlike figure who comes back and advises.
yeah.
He's like the patriarch in a sense, who's pushing and
So
blessing you along.
the ancestor for us, right, was my grandfather's great grandfather. Okay, and this person who came was a cousin who was distantly related, as in like two or three levels away, right? As in like
Mm.
his father's kid was brothers with, and like the descendants parted at that point. And so I was really amazed that and there was no money exchange. It's not like he was getting like any kind of, all he did was he came home, he came to the house that day. This was in the village that, or the small city that we come from. He came to the house that night in his own car. We gave him a place to sleep. He did this in the morning and he left in the afternoon. All he had was lunch and dinner, and that's it. So there was no financial exchange,
No later
right?
than,
And
but there is one thing you guys haven't thought about. You know where a ghost entering your body would be beneficial? In the bath. And I'll tell you why. Because there are areas you can't touch. You can't scrub yourself. Like the back of your lat area, for
oh,
example. I've never been able to wash that part. I don't know anyone who can reach that part, for example. So it's not all bad news. I'm just saying, if you get a ghost, because now you're scaring people with your stories, and they enter your body, try and encourage them to come in the bath with you and use the positive side of the situation, which is more hands. Uh,
ghosts cannot be around running water, right? That's also part of the ghost mythology.
you bring the ghost almanac out because you're making rules as we speak. And I feel
No,
you're
man, this
spinning
is,
yarns around my
listen,
head. Uh,
you don't understand how much of this nonsense I read, right? I read so much like kind of fantasy and science fiction, all that kind of stuff. And ghosts are all over the place, right? So ghosts cannot cross running water. The way you escape a ghost is by crossing a river. Ghosts
Let's end
cannot
this
follow you.
podcast with a erudite statement. What do you call a Bengali ghost? Ghosh.
What?
Whoosh.
Okay, nice.
Oh God, we can't go lower than that. Silvery,
I
happy
think we're
birthday.
good.
Yep.
Since we're not going to meet
Thank you
tomorrow.
so much.
Anybody listening, please wish him tomorrow or on Monday at least when we resume. Um,
Yeah.
29, right?
29, yes, tomorrow, yes.
29.
Monday.
Wow. So for
Yeah.
your generation, 5 years to go. Good, good, good. Chalo. See you, Baba.
Before we end, there are a lot of comments for Cyrus to be on Jose's Ghost Stories live stream. So that'll be a
Jose,
lot
then
of
pick up the
fun
phone.
if you are ever.
Please ask him to pick
Oh,
up the phone.
he will
It's like,
pick up.
he's like a ghost himself. Jose, if you're listening, I
Yeah,
mean, you
yeah.
can't be reached. We don't think you exist. There is no Jose. It's all a lie. Yeah, yeah. We'll go. If he actually turns up and picks up the phone, we'll definitely go. Yeah.
But it's
All right,
actually quite
then.
interesting. I've actually watched a few episodes. If you are interested, you should do it. I think it'll be very fun.
I'll do it as long as he does it in the morning because nighttime I get scared.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool, cool. I'll set it up. I'll try and set it up. I'll try and make
Done.
it happen.
Happy birthday,
Yeah, fine.
Silvery.
All right.
Thank you so much.
We need
Yep.
to
Okay. Bye,
end
everybody.